Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we will take a look at different gear terminologies. Okay, let's start with the picture right here. This picture shows a tooth of a single spur gear and we have different things inside here we can take a look at. Okay, the first thing we will see is top land. This top land is the top surface of the tooth and it is the outermost surface of the entire spur gear. Now the next thing is bottom land, and you can observe the bottom land here, and this surface of the tooth is called face and the bottom surface is called flank. The width of the tooth measured axially is called face width. Okay, let's look at the next diagram. Here we have a full spur gear. Now you can see addendum circle. Addendum circle is the circle which passes through all the top lands of the tooth. Okay. Similarly, we have dedendum circle which passes through the bottom lands, and we have pitch circle. Now in order to explain pitch circle, let's look at this diagram. This is the pinion gear, this is the driven gear. Okay, let's look here closely. The tooth of the pinion gear will strike the tooth of the driven gear at this point, and it is a point contact or line contact. Alright. The locus of all these points is called pitch circle. You can see this circle here. It says pitch circle. Okay, that is what pitch circle is. Now to explain base circle, let's look at the tooth little closer. Now the profile of the tooth is involute profile, but throughout the shape of the tooth it is not involute profile. From the bottom land to up to the base circle it is not involute profile, and from the base circle the involute profile starts. So this profile is only involute profile and this is not involute profile. That is what base circle is. The point from which, or the circle from which the involute profile starts is called base circle. Alright, let's look at the previous figure again. Here we have pitch circle, and you can see that the radial distance between the pitch circle and the top land is called addendum. Similarly, the radial distance between the bottom land and the pitch circle is called dedendum. Let's look at this diagram. We will look at line of action. Okay, now when the pinion tooth strikes the tooth of the driven gear, it will strike at a certain direction, and that direction we will call as line of action. Okay, and the line of action will make certain angle with the common tangent of both the pitch circles of both the gears. Okay, which is this line right here. So the angle between the line of action and common tangent to pitch circles of both the gears is called pressure angle. This is the angle with which the tooth of the pinion gear will hit the tooth of the driven gear. Alright, let's look at center distance. The center distance is nothing but distance between the centers of two gears. Alright, let's look at the next picture. Here you can see, I will demonstrate arc of contact here. Let's take a look at the definition. Locus of point on the pitch circle from the beginning to the end of engagement of two mating gears. Okay, which means that the path of this point from starting from here to here, which means that from the beginning of contact to the end of contact, this whole path is called arc of contact. Okay, now we will divide this arc of contact into two halves. The first one is called arc of approach, because the tooth of the pinion is kind of coming towards the point of contact, so we call it arc of approach. And the other half of the arc of contact we call it a arc of recess, because the tooth of the pinion seems to be kind of moving away from the point of contact. Okay, let's look at this diagram. We have working depth, which is the distance between addendum of pinion gear tooth and addendum of driven gear tooth. This distance is called working depth. Okay, and we have hole depth. Hole depth is the distance between addendum and dedendum of same tooth, same gear. Okay, and the distance between hole depth and working depth is clearance. Now you can see this pitch circle. We have tooth thickness and tooth space. Now you can observe the profile of the tooth. It is changing continuously radial direction. So the thickness of the tooth is also changing. Okay, but we need a standard value for tooth thickness. That's why we decide to measure the tooth thickness along the pitch circle. So the tooth thickness is the thickness of tooth measured on the pitch circle. Similarly, the tooth space is the gap between two adjacent teeth measured on pit circle, that is tooth space. Okay, if you look here, there is a fillet. Instead of sharp edge like this, there is fillet, and the radius of fillet is called fillet radius. These are the different terminology of spur gauge.